you're able to learn and ask questions.
Are about to head into the classroom across the hall. What we're gonna do is make a straight line right when you walk in so that everybody is facing one direction. So one big straight line, you'll be facing me. So if there are folks who are finishing up food and they wanna throw things away. So consider this like a tiny mini break as we move over into that area. So you need to go to the bathroom, wash your hands, do whatever you need to do, and we're gonna move into that classroom across the hall and do a straight line. What questions do you have about what we're about to do?
Do we need our
We
binders?
take our phone.
That's a great question. You don't need your binders for this part. We'll be back in this room in just a few minutes. All right. Sorry.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. Oh, boy. Not the heckling on the compensations. Okay. Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, and I'm gonna set a stopwatch for myself. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys again for coming back. I'm just gonna thank you every time I stand in front of this group, because that's how I feel. But as you guys know, tonight is our education session about council compensation. Next week is going to be our education session about charter review. And then after that, we're going to start going into deliberation and kind of opinion forming and decision making mode. So hopefully we can give you a pretty good baseline tonight of what you need to know about council compensation. But we will definitely not answer every question you have tonight. Part of this process is about taking questions, doing follow-up research, bringing that back to the group. That will continue through this entire process. So I'll try to answer what I can tonight, but no promises. And to that end, a couple questions that we had on Sunday that we do have answers to that I'm just going to run through very quickly here. The DMV is a part of Kentucky state government, but vehicle registration, so not driver's registration, but vehicle registration, is actually a part of local government and handled by the county clerk, who we heard from on Sunday. Also, I do know the county clerk just got a new website, and it is way, way better than it used to be. It's like actually good. So check it out if you haven't. Term limits, I know we kind of covered this in the session, but just to make sure everybody heard, with your 12-year term limit, if you sit out one election cycle, that quote unquote clock does restart. I will say it's not super common that people are on council long enough to do that. We don't have perfect data, but from everything, all the research I did, I found 2 cases since the 70s of people doing that. So think 15 council members, at a time. It's not super, super common, but it is possible. The third thing, there are some questions about mandatory attendance of council meetings. As far as we know, no council meeting is mandatory that you attend. It's very noteworthy if you don't attend, because every council member has a chair with a name plaque in front of it, and if that chair is empty, it's on the Lex TV. It's pretty notable when a council member is not there. And of course, if they're not there, they can't vote on whatever issue they might be voting on that evening. But it is not technically mandatory for council members to be at any of the public meetings. And they do occasionally miss. They'll be out of town, or they'll have another obligation, or what have you. So that's that. Questions that we are still working on and that you might be able to get answered tonight. Some of the questions about how many hours a week do council members work? How many boards and commission meetings do they tend to be on? How many council members have second jobs? How is that possible? Good news is you're going to be talking to about 15 council members during the third block of tonight, and so hopefully you can start to ask them. But the main thing with these questions is there's no one answer, and I think you're going to hear that a lot. It does vary a lot. We're going to try to get a sense of the high and low end. If at the end of the night we don't feel like we have a good sense of that, you can tell us and we can figure out, okay, do we need to do a survey? What do we need to do to get you guys the answers that you need? Questions about the questions, so to speak. Okay, all right, I'm going to keep on rolling. So tonight, what we're getting into, first block, Compensation 101. We're doing that right now. After that, we're going to do what's called a jigsaw activity that our resident retired teacher, Stephanie, helped us design, where basically you're going to split into 4 groups. You're going to read about a peer city and how they compensate their council members. It's going to be Lincoln, Columbus, Greensboro, and Knoxville. You're going to learn with your own group about a city. Then we're going to remix the groups, and you're going to share with other people what you learned about your city. And we'll all come back together and share with the entire group. And then the final activity of the night will be the council member rotations, where we will have current and former council members here live in the flesh And we'll be rotating in really small groups, like probably 2 or 3 people per council member. And you guys can ask them really whatever questions you want within the bounds of the community agreements.
Thank you.
We do have a note sheet that you can follow along with, but take it where you need to. Okay, questions about tonight's agenda? Power off. Oh, that's the speaker. Okay. Okay, just a couple basic things about compensation before we get started. I'm going to try to do this in about 5 minutes. So this is not the end-all be-all on compensation, but just to make sure you guys have a couple facts down before we get into the rest of this. So how compensation works for council members in Lexington right now. Right now, district council members make about $41,000 a year. We covered that last time, and the vice mayor makes about $45,000 a year. With that math and knowing we have 15 council members, the total cost to pay all council members was about $640,000 this year, which comes out to about $2 per constituent. So we know Lexington has about 320,000 people in it. We're all approximately would be paying $2 into council member salaries. Council members do get benefits from LFUCG. They do have health insurance. And I know one thing we learned about last Sunday was, 2 days ago, council members do have a full-time aide that make an average of $62,000 a year. And that number does vary because the aide positions, they are LFUCG staff positions in the way that anybody else who works for the city is a staff position, where there's kind of like a range that each of them can have based on their experience and how long they've been in the role and all the factors that go into that. So I think the minimum is in the high 40s.
53.
Oh, okay, low 50s, and then the maximum is all the way up to 70 something, but the midpoint is about 62,000 a year. Okay. Another important thing. Oh, question. Yes.
So the at-large are also 41,000?
Great question, Tommy. I believe the way it's written in the memo, yes, but I will double check on
They're
that.
slightly more. They're in between.
They're in
I
between?
think they're slightly more than district.
Okay, I will double check on that. We're about to see a slide in a couple minutes, but we'll double check. Yes.
Do the benefits also include like any kind of retirement match?
I believe they do, yes, but I think you're only paying in for as long as you're on council, which, depending, may or may not be a long time.
Do they get like PTO?
So that's a great question. We have a slide about that. I will hit that soon. Yes.
Are we
Yes.
gonna talk or learn more about the admins? Meaning, do they stay in the same district their whole career? Do they bounce around? Can they follow councilmen or?
Yes. So
at-larges?
each district council member is responsible for picking their own aide. So sometimes you'll see a new council member come in and keep the same aide who's already there, which I think there's a lot of benefits to that. The aide already knows the district. They already know kind of some of the people who might be reaching out. They already know the process of making legislation. Sometimes the council member will come in and pick a new aide. Sometimes an aide will, leave the position. They also have free will to move around. So it really does depend. But that's something you can definitely ask the council members about tonight. Yeah. Vicky and then Alex.
I was just looking at the vice mayor who makes 45 using a member at large. So would the other members at large make around what he makes, or would they be below? Would they be below the council member, or would they be in between?
We believe they're right in between the two, but we're going to double check on that. But I think it's slightly less than the vice mayor.
So what makes the difference between at large and a council member?
So I think the idea behind that is at-large council members technically represent everybody in the city. So technically they represent about 320,000 people. Their district council members, I think it's 27,000. Okay, like a smaller number per district that they're responsible for, in theory. Okay, I'm gonna keep on rolling here because we're a little behind. Oh, Alex, no, I already said yes.
So do they get health insurance? And
Yes,
so
they do get health
What
insurance.
is the benefits that they get with that?
We don't have their specific benefit package, but I can see if we can get that. I don't know yet what their deductible is, but it's. Okay. Another important thing about council compensation is there is no official language in the charter about whether council is full or part-time. In a second, we're going to see what is in the charter. But functionally, in many of the conversations we've had and the research we've done and in the way that council members' hours are counted, it's generally considered to be a part-time position. And to that end, to your question about PTO, there's actually no set number of hours that it's required council members to work in a week. So they really set their own schedules. So their salary is the same every year, regardless of the number of hours they work. And they set their schedules kind of around that. So really the biggest accountability mechanism for council members in terms of thinking about like a performance review is the election. That is really the main thing that sets, whether they get to keep their job or not, which, that's how that goes. Okay. So just to give you guys a peek at this, we're going to see this many more times. You don't need to understand every in and out of this. This is the sum total of what is written in our city charter about council compensation. I won't read it out. You'll notice that the number is $6,000 per year, and you're like, the astute observer says, wait, don't they make about $41,000 a year? That is correct. This is based on $1972. And there was an ordinance that was passed in the 80s that essentially put a cost of living increase in place for council members based on the CPI or the Consumer Price Index. So the 2026 equivalent of $6,000 is the $41,000 that most council members pay. Okay, and then another key thing that I'll just point out right now, any change to salary is kind of on a time delay to take effect, where whatever council votes on that change, it won't take place until an election has happened and there's potentially a new council in place. Does that make sense?
No.
So
I
say
thought we said Sunday, or you said Sunday, that they can't determine their own salary.
they can determine their own salary up to this cap. The maximum is set in the charter, but theoretically, if they wanted to change their salary within that, they can do that, but it won't take effect until the next election. Maybe processing that. And right now, I believe they're kind of at the cap right now, so there's not a lot of leeway. But theoretically, if council wanted to lower their salaries, they could vote to do that, but it wouldn't take effect until after the next election.
If we decide we want to raise it, does it go into effect after this next term?
That is our understanding, yes. That it would also be on a delay. Yes,
If we decide to raise it, it doesn't have to go on the ballot in the fall?
yes. But council will be voting whether or not to put it on the ballot,
Okay.
potentially.
Or we could change the charter.
Or yes, we could go really crazy. And I will say, you'll learn in your peer cities, some of the peer cities set council pay just through ordinance is what they call it, which is basically that's the regular council lawmaking process where council just votes on it for themselves. And some of them set it in the charter where the whole city has to vote on that. So that's a difference you do see between some cities. Okay, keep it on rolling here. This I kind of covered briefly. We're actually going to skip that. And then this is kind of how that cost of living adjustment works. So you can see in 1972, the salary is $6,000. The 2023, that's the Consumer Price Index. So the 2024 salary is that number. And that happens once a year, every year in February. So I guess it just happened. The Commissioner of Finance is responsible for making that calculation and increasing or theoretically decreasing council salaries based on that Consumer Price Index. But it's never like a huge jump, right? It's normally like a little bit more every year. Questions? Okay. The last thing I'll touch on very briefly, the public input we did. We mentioned, when we were deciding on the topics for this assembly, we did a survey of people. This was the question about council pay. At the time, we actually phrased that question as full-time, part-time. And we now know that it's not even in the charter as full-time, part-time. But just to speak to kind of the divisiveness of this issue, we had 370 people say council pay should be increased and it should be a full-time job. We had 356 say it should stay how it is. We had 40 people say it should be completely unpaid. We had some people said I'm not sure, that they needed more information about it. And then we had some write-in answers. So that's just a little bit of a poll of how people feel. And then we have some quotes about people expanding on that, but we can just give these to you guys in email. And then the last thing I'll say just throughout the evening tonight, keep in mind, we're not just thinking about council compensation for right now, but way into the future. So try to put kind of your future brain on as we move through this. Okay. Do we want to do a quick break still,
We're
or
gonna do the break, but we need to count off first.
we need to count off first? Oh, because we're going to be going to Jigsaws. Okay, do you want to do that?
Sure, yeah. Thank you. So that was riveting. You all had amazing questions. That means we're gonna keep it going with questions. We're gonna break up into 4 groups. We're going to take a break right after we count off to put you in these 4 groups. So, was it 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10.
Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break. So you're gonna count from 1 to 4. So you're 1, so you're
3,
4.
1, 2.
3, 4,
1,
2, 3,
4, 1,
2, 3, 4, 1.
2, 3,
1.
I know I messed that up. 2. 3. Anybody else? 4.
Yeah.
5. Or 1, sorry. Y'all are listening to me, I don't know. 1, okay, thank you. So please remember your number. It is now time for a 10-minute break. 1 and 2 will be in this room, 3 and 4 across the hall. Okay, we did it! Again, we're just gonna do a brief debrief before we move into the next part of our evening. Some of you, as you walk by, saw some of the city council members and retired city council members are here already. So we're gonna get to spend some time with them pretty soon. But right now, we just want to debrief what we just went through and what we learned. So who talked about Knoxville by a show of hands? All right, there's a couple of, okay, there we go. All right, can we share some things that we learned about Knoxville? There's also notes on the wall that might help remind you as we share out.
There's 9 council members, and they make about $24,000 a year.
So,
And
kind of
it's
similar.
generally considered part-time.
So they're generally considered part-time. There's 9 of them, and they make about $24,000 a year. Okay, this is Knoxville. What else about Knoxville? Yes, saw that hand.
They're separate city and county, so the city council members only deal with city issues. And they also have, so the representatives per resident is higher because you also have council, or county council members as well, so they support that workload.
So they've got it separated by county and city,
Yeah.
and different representatives are in charge of or work for the residents in each of those
Yeah,
areas.
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, they do have district representation as well as at-large representation. Their districts are larger. They're roughly 33,120 people per district.
So their districts are bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So each district representative represents more
Okay.
than city that is small.
Wow. Okay. So there's some similarities, right? But there's also a lot of difference. Anything else about Knoxville that you all want to share with the group? Okay. Lincoln. Show of hands. Who talked about Lincoln? All right, Lincoln folks, tell me some things. What do you remember?
Very similar to Lexington.
Very similar to Lexington.
It wasn't written in the bullet points, but to clarify, the council does write their own ordinances as well and pass them as well. Because it does, here it only says pass ordinances, but I went to the website and read that they can also write their own.
So they write and they pass ordinances. Okay, so they get to do both. Okay, yes, thank you.
Their pay seems to fluctuate up and down, but we're not exactly sure how that happens.
So it goes up and down. Interesting.
Dropped by like 5,000.
It dropped by 5,000?
Yeah.
Okay, that is very interesting. Yes, thank you.
We also thought it was interesting that they have a very similar population, 300,000-ish, but they only have 4 districts.
Wow, I wonder what that's like. 4 districts.
Yeah, they're half the square mile size too.
Okay, half the square mile size. Anything else about Lincoln?
I definitely feel like the pay is not very high per constituent, in that it's only 56 cents for a resident per year.
Wow.
And so, in my mind, I think people will say well, I'm paying for your salary, but if it's 56 cents a year, it almost doesn't hold as much weight to be well, I'm paying you.
I'm paying your 56 cents per year.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Columbus, show of hands. Columbus? Yeah, all right. Columbus is over here and right over here. Okay. Give us some things that you remember.
They have 9 members of their council,
So
and
9 as
they're
well.
all elected at large, but then it says they're separated into their 9 districts. So we were kind of curious of what that.
So they're at large, but they're also separated by district.
It just says
Interesting.
they're elected at large and then separated into the 9 districts.
Ooh, I wonder how that works. That's a good question, right?
3 times as big as we are. There are 930,000 people working in the
3 times as big as Lexington. Okay. There, I saw another hand, I think, over in this area. Yes.
They're paid quite a bit more, $72,000 per year.
72,000 per year. Okay. Yes.
And their pay is established by a group of citizens.
So is it a citizen kind of review board
Yeah,
or
like a citizen council.
a citizen council?
I don't know. That's not
Besides
what it's
the
called,
pay.
but I forget what it's called. Citizen commission. Thank you.
Thank you. A citizen commission
Yeah.
decides. Okay. Thank you very much. Saw a hand here.
So the total cost of the council and mayor would be about $650,000 a year. So very close to Lexington, 64,000. 640,000.
So the total amount of mayor, what they pay the mayor and city council is very similar to here.
Right.
Okay.
So 3 times the population.
Yes.
with 3 times the population.
And a huge budget compared to us.
Okay, so their budget is much bigger than ours as well. Was there another hand? Okay, did we do Greensboro? No, Greensboro. Okay, hit me up, Greensboro, I see y'all.
So they're considered part-time also, but they're only making $26,000.
Okay, so their pay is 26,000.
Yep. And there's 5 regular council members and 3 at large. And then they have the council members elect a city manager. There's no vice mayor. And the city
wow.
manager is outside of the city council members. It's not one of the city council members.
How do they choose their compensation? Do we remember that? Anybody?
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay. What were you gonna say? There were some hands over here. Thank you very much. Yes. There was a hand over here. What do you remember? Connor's like, I don't know.
The population's about the same.
Anything, let me ask it a different way. Is there anything you would like to add?
Nothing, no.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Their population's about the same as ours.
So the population is the same. So they're very similar,
And salary.
but different. All right. Lincoln, did we do Lincoln?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I miss any?
No.
Okay. I would love for you to give us kind of an overall what's about to happen next. We are about to start meeting with our city council representatives. So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to do this.
All right, so our final rotation of the night is meeting with these current and former council members. They're trickling into the hall as we speak. The basic way this is going to work is they will be scattered in this room, the room across the hall, and in the kind of central hallway. And your job is to go find a council member, talk to them for 8 minutes, and then we'll be rotating the group, and then you find a different council member, talk to them for 8 minutes, and we'll do that 4 or 5 times. Under the second tab of your binder, after your Pure City packet, you will see a note sheet. If you would like to use that note sheet to follow along, feel free. If you would like to take your own notes, feel free, but I would recommend taking notes for this. And the note sheets kind of have the guiding questions. The council members have those same guiding questions. So you guys are operating from the same place, but you can just start by asking questions, or you can just ask them to introduce themselves. They're council members, so they can talk for as long as you let them, but do what feels right to you. And we will be kind of moving people along every 8 minutes. And also we're going to set a limit of no more than 3 people talking to any one council member for any one rotation, because we should have plenty out there. So if there's a bunch of people at one, just go find somebody else. Questions about the rotations? Okay. I think, should we just go ahead and...
Let's go ahead.
Okay, all right. Everybody, if you want to get up, go find a council member. For this first one, since we're a little early, you can do 4 per group if you need to, but I think we have enough. Yeah, because a few will be coming in the next 10 minutes.
All right, we're headed back in to do a debrief. And then we'll talk about what's happening next week. That was exciting, wasn't it? Amazing. Come on in, find a seat. We're just going to be about 15 more minutes. Yes. Thank you. It's a great question. Are you real? Oh, you're only giving me 1 minute? Okay. I get 1 minute to get out.
I also
Of course, council members are welcome to join us. We're coming into the room. Once again, council members, please join us if you'd like. We're just going to do a little debrief of this session that we just had of the 4 rounds. I would love to hear from some folks. How did that feel, or what did you learn? How did that feel, or what did you learn? I bet you learned a lot. I saw lots of good conversation happening out there. You wish it was longer? Okay, we have, okay, yes, we're getting a double on that over there. All right, what did you, triple, okay. What are some of the things that we heard that we learned tonight? Yes, thank you.
One thing, we were having a preconception that maybe is wrong. One is that only people that do this job are retired people, lawyers, and whatever. And there's only 2 retired people on the council. Everybody else has got another job. And some are, we said also teachers can't do it. Well, one's a UK professor. So there was a lot of people that had their own companies. So I think there's more ability to do it just than retired people.
Right, so there's a misconception that it's just for retired people, or what do we say, realtors, retired people, or lawyers, or rich people, right? Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. What else did we hear or that we learned?
Clarification on how many hours they work besides just meetings.
Clarification on how many hours that they work besides just meetings. What you hear?
Depends on how involved they want to be.
Yeah.
It also depended on how involved their district was, sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. It also depended on what?
The district.
The district.
Various districts had differently engaged populations who demanded different things from their representatives and different investments in time.
That is a lot to juggle, right? It's a lot to juggle. Your hand went up. Yes.
Every person I talked to, when we asked them what the most important part of their job was, the first thing everybody said was their constituents.
So the constituents, y'all are really important, right? Yeah. Anything else? What else did you? Hi, Fred. What else did you learn? Yes.
I think that kind of depending on how much you care is how much time and effort you put into your job as a council member. I kind of learned that some people don't view it as much of a commitment, so therefore they don't really think that their salary should be raised because it is part-time. There's other people that takes over their life because they care about it, or they just put in more time.
It's a huge spectrum of how much time people spend based on their experience, based on their own personal experience, how much time they have, how they're passionate. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. And I saw a hand back there too. Go ahead.
I was gonna play on that as well. Basically, it is completely up to the we had quite a range of people serving at different time periods, and pretty consistently, it seemed like there were always council members that really gave it their all, and others who seemed to, I mean, they were like, they potentially weren't even here, because I think the people that volunteer their time to come here and talk to us are also more likely the people that are gonna go above and beyond when they were council members. And it seems like at any point in time, you're gonna have people that do everything they can and give everything they can, and other people that treat it more like a job or a stepping stone to something else.
Thank you so much. I saw there was a hand in the back of somebody that I hadn't seen before. Okay, then we might have answered their question. I'm gonna go to you and then I'll come back here again. Go ahead.
I think on the other side of it, like there's a question of like efficiency and like what one person could get done in 1 hour, could another person get done in half an hour? And so I think, like, to build off of what you guys were saying, I think it's not only a matter of like how much someone cares, but it also is just a matter of like how well connected that council member is and how well they're delegating to their aides and to other support. I think, yeah, I don't think it's just a matter of how much someone cares.
We're hearing that there's a lot of moving parts, right? I saw a hand back here. Yes.
Yeah, I got two
Got
things.
2 points. Thank you.
One is, there's, seems to be a lot of burnout after like 6 to 8 years. Where, they get tired of fighting constantly, trying to get things done. And they just burn out, and can't take it anymore. And then also, I kept on asking, one of my pet peeves is the 2 year. Would they want to expand that to 4 years, or 3 years, or 4 years? And all of them said 4 years. And I got the same problem with them as I do with the House representatives. All they do is run. They're never serving me. All they're doing is running for office. They're never serving me. So give it to 4 years, and then at least they just have some time to get something done.
So lots of different perspectives in there. Oh, thank you.
I wanted to piggyback off what you had said about expanding the term time. A common theme I saw was, if I asked how much would you want to make this your full-time job, there was some hesitation to make it a full-time job because you may only be there for 2 years. You still want to have a job to be able to fall back on. If you extended that term limit, that may give more safety net where they can go all in on that. So what you had said just kind
But
of.
most of them don't do it just for 2 years. They're all usually around 6 years, 8 years, some
Right,
8
but
years.
there's still a risk that gets pulled out from under you in the next election. You lose that, so you need something to be able to fall back on, unless you have money to sit back.
Ooh, we're already having discussions for next time. I love it. That's like, okay, we got, all right. Ooh, I love this. Can we just thank these representatives who showed up here tonight and have showed up for our city in a lot of different ways over the years? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know there was some housekeeping that we needed to do before we ask the last question. You're gonna do that, Kit? Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Hi, everybody. All right. So a couple housekeeping things. I have a slide, I think. So our next session is going to be next Tuesday, March 10th. Same time, same place, this building. Check-in will open at 5. Session will start at 5:30. We will have dinner. It will be tacos from DV8. Go crazy. It will be education on the charter and the charter review process. So some similar formats that we had tonight, but a different topic. And we won't have an amazing slew of guest speakers like we had tonight because the charter can't talk, but that's okay. And we will also have the same headshot station set up at the next night, but that will be your last chance. So if you want a headshot, just a nice photo of yourself, we won't publish it without your permission. You could just take it and run away with it, and we can never use it. That's okay. You can do that either with the 20 minutes we have left tonight or next Tuesday. Any logistical questions? Oh, also Ken's survey, if you haven't taken that yet, I will send out an email about it, and he also has some more paper copies here if anybody needs a paper copy, but we would love for everybody to take it. Do you need a paper copy? Okay, great, Ken, we have one over there, and then yes.
This is not actually helpful to these folks, but there's been a request to have a photo of the council members that attended, so I'm sticking around.
Yeah, okay, after we break, if you guys want to just come up on the stage, maybe that'll be easiest. Okay, great. Any other logistical questions before we do our final close? Leave the binders again, yes. Leave the name tags in the binders, yes. And Okay, all right.
So one last question as we close tonight. What else do you still need to know to help you to make some decisions going forward? What are some questions that you have that we can start thinking about for the next time? Any questions that you have that we didn't get answered tonight? Questions that are still lingering? We answered some from Sunday tonight when we first got in here. So what questions do you still have? Anything that's percolating for you? Yes.
So something in the city comparison that was kind of difficult to gauge, and there might not be an easy answer to this, but the big difference between all of them is we're like the only city county government. So when comparing the payment or like the salaries of the other ones, it's hard to know like what is the responsibility of a county government versus like a city government, and how much like if that's combined, how much more responsibility might that be?
Okay.
I was actually going to second that if we had questions about the city's comparison, because I was wondering, I'm familiar, and what we're learning right here is how a combined city government works. I don't actually know how a big city like Knoxville or something works with a similar population base, or Greensboro, which has like another 200,000 people in their county. How do they interact?
Okay, so more questions for next time. I think I saw a hand back this way as well. No, it's been answered. All right, yes, I'm
One thing
coming.
that we couldn't tell is, and I don't know if you probably won't be able to tell, is a lot of these cities that we compared, I think all of but one said they were part-time. But what is part-time? Because ours is part-time too, but what is part-time?
What is part-time?
Are they working 20 hours? Are they working 40 hours? Because there was a big difference in salaries. Maybe anywhere from 20-some thousand to 70-some thousand.
Yeah.
So how many hours, I don't know if we can even get that answer.
Okay, we're gonna try though. Yes, and I'm gonna come over here, okay?
One of the, Columbus had a citizen commission to determine elected official salaries. We were wondering, how do we determine them for Lexington?
How do we determine elected officials' salaries?
It's pretty much that cap in the charter, and then council can do it by ordinance within that cap.
So council votes on all of our elected official salaries?
Oh, of the other elected
Yeah.
officials?
Yeah, the other
Ooh, good
Yeah.
question. Okay, I'll write that down.
Alright. You had a question, and I'm gonna come to you after. Yeah.
The choices of the cities was very nice, but one of the measures I'd like to have is the economic success of what has achieved by the councils. I mean, are the councils any good? You know, and is there any kind of correlation between what they're being paid, $20,000 versus $80,000? And is their city growing? Is their crime low? You know, is their employment at national averages or below? You know, I'd like to know whether or not the city council is doing any good.
Okay. Got that? All right, thank you. Coming to you now.
My question revolves around benefits in Lexington. What percentage of healthcare is covered and other types of things that go into, that are above and beyond the salary?
Okay, some of those benefit questions that we were asking before, we need to get some more specifics on.
Like numbers.
Thank you. Yes.
My question was, in the book, we saw several different cities with their compensation much lower than what we were looking at. And in comparison to other cities outside the cities we studied, there are cities that are making their compensation for their city council much higher than we. So we're only seeing one perspective of it than the other cities. Is there any way that we can get some of those? Because when we studied it, we know that we have 15 council members, and the other cities that we were studying, they were less than 9 or 10. So something in comparison to what we're dealing with in the other cities that may have a higher compensation for their members, if that is, or how they go about it, or looking at it.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
I'd be curious to figure out how much the compensation for city council, like what percentage of the total city budget that is. That's important.
Okay? You got that?
The 2%,
Percentage of the city budget?
isn't it 2%?
It's significantly less in Lexington. It's 0.0675 roughly percent of total annual budget.
All right, we'll take 2 more questions because it's helping us to shape what we're going to be talking about next week as well and getting you some answers. So 2 more questions if you have them. Okay.
I just went over.
How quickly do the other cities clear their ice?
I'm not asking that into the mic, thank you. Yes. Too soon.
On the subject of payment versus economic impact, I think someone brought up the concept of like average household income or wage versus the annual cost per taxpayer for city council members. So how much really is, how much of a burden really is the payment?
Okay. All right, thank you. So I think there's going to be a photograph taken up here. Please leave your notebooks where they're at with your name tags in them. We will see you here next Tuesday. Do not come Sunday because we will not be here. Come next Tuesday. All right. Thank you very much. Round of applause. It was awesome. Thank you. All right. City council folks, if you'll come up on the stage, we'll get a photograph. They're 8 and 9. And they are.